Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. And if you enjoy the content but have not yet subscribed already, then please kindly do so. Okay, without much further ado, we're here today to talk about Andre Ward, who's in the UK, to cover the Luke Campbell versus Lomachenko fight. O2 Arena, London. And Andre Ward was kind enough to give his observations, make some comments about the future of Anthony Yarde and his fight. His observations on his fight with Anthony Yarde's fight with the Crusher, Kovalev. Okay, so without much further ado, let's hear what Andre Ward had to say about the subject matter, the topics presented. Okay, let's go.
Down the road, but the first 6 rounds he did really well. He had a big 8th round, so he fared really well, better than I thought, and put on a great performance. With the exception of the hot ending. So I think, man, he's at a key, like he's at a fork in the road right now.
Okay, so Anthony Yarde is at a fork in the road right now. He did better than Andre Ward had expected. So he surpassed Andre Ward's expectations, but now he's at the fork in the road.
Career-wise, but just internally, he's got to figure out what is he going to do. And I heard Tunde say no adjustments need to be made. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. Because if you didn't need to make any adjustments, you would have won that fight. And even if you did win that.
My point exactly. Andre Ward speaks on it. You heard Tunde say no adjustments need to be made. I heard him say that too, and I found that highly disturbing. They lost the fight, but no adjustments need to be made. Adjustments always need to be made. I'll use the analogy of a winning Formula One car. Every year, they come back with an improved car. So even if you win, adjustments still need to be made. And if you lose, adjustments definitely 100% have to be made. I'm going to talk about some of the adjustments that need to be. I think I've already spoken. I know I've already spoken about this. So do I need to touch on it again? Maybe I'll just insert that video at the end of this one. Well, just add. It'll it'll pop up at the end of this video. But I've already mentioned it. I'll touch on a couple of points. Right. Okay, 1. The Philly shell. You use the Philly shell when you're slipping punches. You don't use the Philly shell when you're not slipping punches. Okay, that's just damn common sense. I spoke on it originally, immediately after the fight. When you're not slipping punches, hey, go to the high guard. When the guy's got your timing and he's popping you, go to the high guard. Work from the high guard. Forget about the Philly shell. Only use the Philly shell when you're slipping punches. You can start with the Philly shell. For sure. When it gets to the point where you're not slipping the punches, do not use the Philly shell. That's a couple of observations straight off the bat. The jab. The jab. The number 1 tool in boxing. Yeah, I understand you can be unconventional. And unconventionality has worked for many people. Roy Jones being one of them. But let's look at another guy who was somewhat special. Let's look at Sugar Ray Leonard. He was somewhat special. Great jab. I was a big fan of his until he beat my another favorite of mine, Marvin Hagler. Great jab. Look at all the greats. One thing in common that they all had or tended to have was the jab. Don't overlook the basic fundamentals. Don't overlook the basic fundamentals. Don't forget the bread and butter. The basic bread and butter. I actually don't really eat much bread, but anyway, you get the point. You get what I'm saying. Don't forget your fundamentals. Be good at your fundamentals. Yeah, be unconventional. But first, don't forget your basic fundamentals. Fundamentals. Don't forget the fundamentals. The bare necessities.
That fight, you still need to make adjustments. So that's a major red flag.
That's a very good point. He said even if you won that fight, you still need to make adjustments. Even if you won the fight, you still need to make adjustments. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Let's pause. Let's pause for a moment. Let's think about that. Even if you won the fight, you still have to make adjustments. Let us continue.
To me, and I just hope that Yarde can make those tough decisions. And I'm not saying he should get rid of anybody. He has to make some changes. Look, this is the way camp's going to be ran. Hey, I know we did that up until this point. We need to start doing this. He's got to figure some things out because if not, he's shown that he can fight and compete with the top guys. We think, but let's be honest.
He's shown that he can fight and mix it up with the top guys. We think so. But let's be honest. Kovalev has some wear on the tires. Yeah, we know that. How old is he now? About 36, 37? He does have wear on the tires, but he's still very proficient at what he does. And what is one of the main things that he does? He jabs. He jabs, and he does so very, very well. What is a jab? It's a basic fundamental of boxing. Yeah, be unconventional, but don't forget your basic fundamentals. We've gone over that. Basic fundamentals in life, not just boxing. Basic fundamentals. Okay.
Kovalev is 36. He got tread on the tires. It's not a young, undefeated Kovalev. So I think he showed us he can compete at that level, but do you just want to be a guy that can compete, or do you want to be a guy that beats the top guys? If he's going to beat the top guys, he's got to make some changes.
You expect Kovalev to fight now?
If you want to be a top guy, you've got to make some changes. Got to make some changes. Tunde, hope you're listening. Tunde's coming for some criticism. I think to an extent, that's appropriate. However, there were good points. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah? I don't know if you have the expression in your part of the world, but there was some successes. See this? See that face? Yarde took it to him. See that face? Yarde took it to him. There were successes to the body. And with better game planning or communication, Anthony Yarde would have been mindful of that. He'd have probably been going for that earlier. And when he did go for it, was in the 7th round, 6th or 7th. When he did go for it, he would have stayed on the body. But he tagged Kovalev to the head, wobbled him, had him in trouble. I think in the 8th, after he'd been battering him in the 7th to the body. Went to the head, thought, oh, I'll go to the head now. I've got him in trouble. And then he went head happy. But there is an expression, body, body, head. And that applied very much so in this fight. That's what she's been doing. Body, body, head. Head, body, body. Body, body, head. Head, body, body. And that should have been rammed in Yarde's head. Was it rammed in his head? I don't know. If it wasn't, that was a mistake. But let's flip over to the positives. They say if the fighter is happy in camp, then he's more likely to do well in the fight. And one thing I will say is Tunde has a happy fighter. They have a happy fighter. They have a happy camp. They are very tuned in. So it is incumbent upon Tunde to make the necessary adjustments of which I have spoken about. Because they do have a happy fighter. They do have a happy camp. They do have a happy camp. And that is a plus that can be built on. But Tunde has to make the necessary adjustments, and as Andrew Ward intimated, Anthony Yarde does also have a say in this too. He has to be a student of the game in his own right. He himself has a part to play in shaping his own future. He himself must come to the realization that he has to make some technical adjustments and fundamental realizations. A realization that he has to have solid fundamentals to go alongside his special abilities. What say you? It's Raphael Dawkins. It's the Combat Radio. It's the like, it's the subscribe, it's the comment, it's the shares. And it is that hitting that bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Also for notifications when YouTube fails. Those were the wise words of... We have listened to the wise words of Andre Ward. Words to pay heed to Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajaya. It's Raphael Dawkins, Combat Radio. And I'm out.